Hi there, dear viewers. Many thanks for joining us on Thursday's edition of Prime News over My Media Prime TV. It is the 25th day of January 2023. I am Eileen for presentation. Journalists from across the National Triangle today, January 25, 2023, mobilized nationwide in solidarity for their deceased colleague, Zogo Martinez, who was murdered a few days back. Ewane compiled the following report.
It is a Black Wednesday for the Cameroon media landscape as journalists across the country's 10 regions mobilized at their respective place of work to pay tribute to their deceased colleague Martinez Zogo. These media practitioners from the print, online, radio and television all dressed in black to pay homage to a fallen colleague.
Why I'm putting on black today is in response to the call by the Cameroon Journalists Trade Union asking us to be in black today in solidarity, mourning our colleague who was brutally assassinated, and as a member of the trade union, having exercised as president for the Southwest, I cannot be indifferent to such a call because it could be my situation tomorrow, it could be anybody's situation, and in that scenario, I would expect every other journalist to respect a call.
This nationwide mobilization equally tells of the unity existing in the Cameroon media landscape and also a call for the protection of journalists in the country.
By respecting this, hoping that almost everybody is going to respect this, it sends a strong message to the world that Cameroon journalists are in union. Cameroon journalists are passing on a message that they need greater protection, they need greater guarantees by the government and the communities in which they are living, because if our security is not guaranteed, if we could be eliminated anyhow, anytime and any day, it puts our profession in doubt in the minds of almost everybody, because our families are also concerned. They would not want what has happened to Martinez Zogo to happen to us. So there is extra pressure that is put on us by our friends, by our families, to be more careful. But then we hope that what has happened to our colleague serves as a wake-up call to us, the journalists, to also protect ourselves.
Journalists, on their part, have been called upon to remain focused and not be derailed from the ethics of the profession while discharging their duties as journalists.
What has happened to our colleague Martinez Zogo should not derail us from what we received in training. That is, we must remain objective in the treatment of information. We must remain accurate. We must remain fair and balanced in what we are doing. We must ensure that we respect the ethics of the profession and see how to also master the laws governing what we are doing as journalists. We should not be scared because of what has happened. We should rather see the need to add value to our profession so that we are better respected in the way we dish out information to our respective audiences.
It should be noted the abduction and subsequent assassination of journalists has been a common phenomenon in the country, especially in the crisis-hit Northwest and Southwest regions, citing cases of Samuel Wazizi, Bibingota, and the most recent being the popular Yaoundé-based radiocaster Martinez Zogo. It should be recalled that Cameroon has a bad record when it comes to targeting journalists, as the Committee to Protect Journalists has repeatedly ranked Cameroon as the second worst jailer of journalists in sub-Saharan Africa.
In a related story, media people in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon, joined their peers nationwide in black attires today as a sign to express their dissatisfaction and pain following the assassination of Martinez Zogo. During a church service at the Bamenda Metropolitan Cathedral Big Mankan, while mourning their fallen colleague, they prayed for God's guidance for all those still practicing. Charles Cabwa reports.
Media workers in Bamenda, January 25, 2023, were in black cloth as a sign to express their dissatisfaction following the killing of their colleagues Samuel Wazizi, Martinez Zongo, and other colleagues who've died while practicing.
Enabling environment to practice. Every good democracy goes with good journalism. If the journalist is being attacked on a daily basis, it only gives the image that the world is looking at, because the journalist is a mirror of the society. So if you don't protect your journalists, you don't protect journalism, democracy is far-fetched. You cannot be singing on treetops that you are master of democracy or you father of democracy. You want to be remembered as democracy, and the ingredients of democracy are being trampled upon.
CJTU Northwest chapter and other chapters like Kamasej Northwest at the Bamenda Metropolitan Cathedral in a church service officiated by Reverend Father Henry Bejuni to mourn their fallen colleagues also prayed God guard those still practicing.
Sleeps, you have the right to respond, not to kill. We think that Wazizi was killed, was assassinated. Now is Zogo. Who next? We came here to thank God for our lives. We are in a battle or in a war zone. And then now in the nation's capital, where all the diplomatic circles are, if they can kill a journalist, if they can assassinate a journalist, then it tells you what happens to the man who is practicing in Kumbo.
The media men and women in the Northwest used Samuel Wazizi like Martinez Zogo to say no more killing of journalists and that impunity must stop given journalists are apostle of truth.
Stories, especially the context within which we find ourselves, because you may never tell if you leave your house in the morning, you get back in the evening. I just hope that this is going to be the last. I really hope that we do not have to go through this again.
People to deliver the truth to the world. And when they come under attack, we're here today and this moment using Martinez Zogo to say impunity must end and to say the perpetrators should never know any sleep.
Northwest CJTU chapter president Comrade Nji Ignatius called on the powers that be to bring the perpetrators to book. It should be noted the killing of Martinez Zogo comes at a time where pressmen and women in the Northwest and Southwest regions are faced with the socio-political crisis, thus affecting them as journalists and putting them more at risk in the hands of both parties, be it the military and separatists.
On to something else, a huge fire outbreak in Mamfe, Manu division of Cameroon's southwest region, ravaged a filling station, damaging vehicles parked at the station. Mamfe residents who witnessed the fire outbreak attest that it was likely caused by a fuel tanker vehicle parked at the fuel station. Catherine Ekongwe recounts.
It was a sad evening for the inhabitants of Mamfe, Manu division of the southwest region of Cameroon, following the fire outbreak that ravaged the lone filling station.
Kind of a rotten car that they use in carrying those fuel was parked there with fuel in it. So it's like some sort of leakage was in and it caused the fire outbreak. So we are not suspecting any fishy issue. It's a glaring case. So the owner of the car is there, they know him. He will be the best person to answer further questions.
In the same light, another eyewitness blames the fire incident on the leakage of a vehicle tank parked at the station.
Somebody that nothing happened. It's just that yesterday, since that hotel is a place like a car park to drivers. So yeah, on Sunday like that, since Monday there is ghost town. People went there with their luggages, with their vehicle and fuel. They went and parked on that hotel on Sunday. So yesterday, I suspect that it was overheat. Then we came to realize that as the thing happened, the tank of the driver was leaking, so it made overheat. So that's why the explosion yesterday happened. Even yesterday, as it happened around at 7:30, I was in the military. I tried to tell them that they were saying that it was amber. I said no, it's not amber. Amber cannot come at 7:30 to come and burn this place because the whole area yesterday was populated and we're having light, so there is no amber. So it was just carelessness.
Locals were unable to bring down the fire watch helplessly as the fuel station was ravaged with no firefighting units to help out. The locality now does not have any filling station, and there are fears that the cost of transportation may rise as there is already scarcity of fuel for automobiles in the area.
In another story related to a fire incident, some business persons in Vogada, a neighborhood in Yaoundé, Central Region of Cameroon, accounting losses after several shops went down in flames. The fire outbreak, according to reports, was followed by explosive sounds which started on the early hours of Tuesday, January 24, 2023. The cause of the fire outbreak is yet to be identified as investigations are still ongoing to know the real cause of the outbreak. On to something else. After Yaoundé and Boya, the fuel shortage has been recorded in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. Consumers in the city, the busiest city in Central Africa, have expressed disgruntlement over the shortage of fuel. Our reporter Julian Dambi caught up with some of these consumers and put together the following report.
At the Tradex petrol station, there is a lot of people at the pump. The long queues never ends as everyone is waiting their turn to get fuel, which has now become increasingly rare in the city of Douala, economic capital of Cameroon, for days now. There is no fuel at petrol stations as usual. That is why Tradex, being the lone petrol station having fuel, we are bound to queue, causing traffic, and we do not know what is happening why other petrol stations do not have fuel. Recall fuel scarcity was first reported in Yaoundé and Boya weeks ago, following government's removal of subsidy for petroleum products in Cameroon. However, Douala was not affected at the time as there was still supply in filling stations. And now consumers say it has been difficult to get fuel as only one station as at yesterday provided petrol. This is the third day we have fuel scarcity, and Tradex is the only petrol station having fuel. All the others do not have. There is no fuel. Look at how I am wet. I went to Neptune and Tre Chefferie and could not find it there. I also went at MRS and there was nothing. I was on my way down to Total before some of my colleagues told me there was some fuel at Tradex. You see how I am sweating because I had to push the bike here. On January 24, 2023, at this petrol station, a bar has been set not to be crossed as the mad rush for fuel has become evident. Consumers are told to be patient and go through the long queue. I went out of fuel because I was looking for fuel. I even had to push my bike because everywhere, Total, Bocom and even Neptune, no fuel. And in the course of searching, the little fuel I had in reserve got finished and I had to push the bike. We went to many petrol stations and there was a lot of traffic and we were unable to get fuel. So we are lucky and opportune that at Carrefour d'Assemblée, we could get some, though the pumpist say he does not serve above 20,000 francs for a customer. According to sources, it has been 3 days since the fuel shortage hit Douala. So far, no reasons has been given by operators of filling stations and the authorities.
6 religious leaders of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon have issued a statement in favor of the Canadian-led peace talks that are geared towards bringing peace to the country regarding the conflicting parties in Cameroon. The statement contained in a two-page document was signed on the 22nd day of January but released on Tuesday, 24th day of January 2023. Details right ahead. The document bearing the statement in favor of peace in Cameroon has 6 signatories, that of the Most Reverend Andrew Nkea, Archbishop of the Bamenda Archdiocese, the Right Reverend Funky Samuel Foba, Moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Cameroon, Reverend Dr. Nditeme Charlemagne, Executive President of the Cameroon Baptist Convention, Tuko Mohamed Adamu of the Bamenda Central Mosque, Alhaji Mohamed Abubakar, Imam of Boya Central Mosque, and Right Reverend Thomas Elango of the Anglican Church of Cameroon. The two-page document titled Statement of Religious Leaders of the Northwest and Southwest regions comes after an announcement on January 20, 2023 by Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs of a peace process to resolve the ongoing socio-political crisis in the rest of Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. In the 7-point statement drafted on the 22nd day of January 2023 in Bafoussam but released on January 24, the 6 religious leaders admitted to have read from the Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly on Canada's openness to reach a peaceful solution of the conflict, adding that the 6 signatories of this document welcomed this statement as a major step towards the search for true, sustainable, and lasting peace in the 2 Anglophone regions of Cameroon, while thanking God that a hopeful corridor is beginning to open for inclusive dialogue that should spur up a peaceful resolution to the plight of the English-speaking Cameroonians. The faith leaders further stated in the document that they are independent and sovereign, given that they are the voice of the voiceless. What highlighting also is the fact that they have appealed to all stakeholders to stick to honesty, keep aside their personal and political or other exclusive interests in order to work for the common good, inspired by truth, justice, love, and equity. Note that these religious authorities also cited the consequences of the ongoing Anglophone crisis, among which include violence, killing, abductions, abuse of human rights, maiming, just to name but these. These spiritual leaders have most importantly challenged everyone to pray for God to resolve the conflict as the ultimate ruler of all. Traditional authorities of the West, Littoral and Northwest regions of Cameroon gathered in Douala on Sunday, the 22nd day of January to celebrate the 2nd edition of the Mini Nyang Nyang Festival. Joy Ngong was there and compiled the following report.
It is by this majestical entrance that the paramount ruler of Bafoussam, His Majesty Njifak Ngompe Pele, touched the soil at Parc des Princes in Bali, Douala, last Sunday. He was accompanied by the paramount ruler of the New Bel Canton, His Majesty Jean-Yves Ebumbu Douala Mangabel, as well as the leader of the Bamenda community. These traditional authorities are gathered for the 2nd edition of the Mini Nyanyan Festival, organized by the Bafoussam community in Douala. The aim of the festival is to maintain the image of the Fesep culture in Douala. The major attractions during the ceremony were the various cultural displays and cultural dances under the watchful eyes of the representative of the governor of the Littoral region. He expressed satisfaction while applauding the spirit of living together.
Living together, the cohesion, and all those things that you enumerate are will. So we here at Administrative Authorities, we are here to accompany them, to sensitize them, for them to continue to live together as the head of state have said.
The paramount ruler of Bafoussam, on his part, explained the benefits of bringing the Nyanyan festival to Douala.
Je voudrais donc profiter de cette occasion pour dire que nous avions décidé qu'elle se tienne dans les autres villes autres
It should be noted that this ceremony is part of the major Nyanyan Festival, which is ongoing in Bafoussam since November 2022 and will end in February this year.
Let's now talk health. The World Health Organization has urged governments, food industries and the general public to remove trans fat on food chain, as new report shows it is toxic and accounts for a global increase of cases in clogged arteries, heart attack, stroke and more, which can lead to death over time. Bukengo Worthy reports.
Following large amount found in processed food, trans fat, according to new report from the World Health Organization, accounts for an increase of bad cholesterol in the body, causing many different health hazards.
So when trans fat enter our body, they are taken up by certain compounds that transport fat in the blood flow, and the more the trans fat, the higher the amount of bad cholesterol that is produced, and the lower the amount of the good cholesterol. So you have more of this bad cholesterol, which then means a higher amount of hardening of the cell walls and inflammation of the cell walls. And this leads to a higher risk of clogging of the arteries, and therefore a higher risk of heart disease and stroke.
With more than 500,000 people dying daily, taking a cut of trans fat in processed food and food in general by governments should be a priority.
Consumption of trans fat at the current level is estimated to increase by 21%, by 1 in 5, the risk of getting heart disease, and by even more, 1 in 4 times the risk of dying for heart disease. And so we calculate that with the current level of consumption of trans fat, something in between 300,000 and 500,000 people every day die as a result of the consumption of this toxic compound.
What noting is the fact that...
Let me start by saying that trans fat are bad for your health. So removing them will give you health benefits. And you will not even realize that trans fat has been removed, because there's no change in taste, no change in the cost of food.
According to the World Health Organization nutrition and food safety expert, adequate regulations for manufacturers, banning of sales and production of industrial trans fat, consuming more vegetable oil such as the canola oil, are some ways to help reduce cases of stroke, heart attack, self-inflammation, as well as save the estimated 3 billion people at risk of health complications borne by trans fat worldwide.
On to sports news, the intermediate Lions of Cameroon have been denied a chance to reach the quarter-final stage of the ongoing CHAN competition in Algeria by Niger after succumbing to a 1-0 win yesterday. Unlike last edition where they reached the semi-finals, Cameroon comes back home after performing in just the group stage. Magdala Eyong-Bisson completes that story.
The intermediate Lions of Cameroon have failed to advance to the quarter-final stage of the 2022 Total Energies African Nations Championship after a 0-1 defeat against the MENA of Niger in their final Group E game this Tuesday at the Meloud Hadeifi Stadium in Oran, Algeria. Coach Aliou Seydou's team was completely blunt against their Niger counterparts as they failed to hit the target over the 90 minutes of the contest despite creating a number of half chances. Ousieni Badamasi scored Niger's lone goal on the night in the 70th minute when he picked the bottom corner of Marceline Babi's net from a free kick won after Junior Sime brought him down on the edge of the box. Though Cameroon were a whisker away from equalizer on 2 occasions on the final 10 minutes, but then all efforts were wasted in front of goal. It was a relatively quiet night for Jerome Gombe-Kelly, who failed to replicate the performance in the previous game against Congo as the intermediate Lions crashed out. With this result, Niger advanced to the last 8, in which they will face the Black Galaxies of Ghana. At the same venue, Niger conquered Cameroon to earn a second quarter-final ticket. This result is poor compared to Cameroon's last performance on home soil, where they got to the semi-finals of the competition and were booted out by Morocco. But in this edition, they are sent packing in the group stage of the competition, despite coming into this game as leaders of Group E with 3 points. Niger held Congo to a draw in their first day of play and so needed just 3 points to qualify as the lone representative of Group E with 4 points, and as such, Niger has picked up a ticket to the quarterfinal stage of competition with 4 points, while Congo and Cameroon goes home. Cameroon came into this competition in search of a very first Chan title, but all efforts went down the drain. In the meantime, coach Ami Abdul has guided Mauritania to their first ever qualification to the quarterfinals of the African Nations Championship, following their 1-0 win over last edition's finalist Mali in a tight contest at the Oran Olympic Stadium this Tuesday in the last Group D fixture. Mamadou Sy scored the lone goal 6 minutes into the second segment to put Mauritania ahead. Mauritania traveled to Annaba this Wednesday morning to start preparations for the All-West Africa quarterfinal shutdown at the 19 May 1956 stadium in Annaba, Algeria, which is scheduled for 5 p.m. local time and will be a first Chan meeting between both nations.
It's on that note that we call it a day on today's edition of Prime News, coordinated by Lasha Kingsley. I have been Summer Eileen for presentation, thanking you all for your keen and kind attention. The news was produced by Ewane, but don't go anywhere. Coming up next is Prime Hour with Leonard and his team. Have a blessed night. Bye for now.